I have trouble communicating with my wife. My name is Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation, and I'd like to help you with this, but I'd like to go a little deeper than just talking about the communication aspect, which is very important. Most men make a very common error, and that is an error of expectation. We think that communication should be straightforward, kind of like, think of it like I tell you something, you tell me something back. I say something, you say, I hear you, and you tell me what you heard, and it's pretty much what I said. Women do not communicate that way. They're much more, to use like common vernacular, they're touchy-feely in their communication. They're different. Men are different. Women are different. You know, this whole thing in society now of gender neutrality, or whatever you want to call it, is hogwash. And we all know that, but we're still being fed this, and so we're going, what the heck is going on here? And so we don't compensate for what is, from a man's point of view, a deficiency. Ironically, from a woman's point of view, our inability to fill in the gaps or to say much more than what is actually spoken is also considered a deficiency. It's up to both individuals to do their best to bridge that gap. Now, when you're the one who's getting frustrated, I'm sure your wife is frustrated too, it is imperative that what you do is you compensate on both sides. You compensate on the listening side, and you compensate on the speaking side, without any expectation that she does the same. As soon as you have an expectation in your mind, you're blowing up all the bridges of communication, and it isn't going to work. You have to take personal responsibility, regardless of how off you think she is. What does that mean? That means that when she says something, you have to look beneath the words. You have to get a feel for what she means, what she's expressing. And it usually won't be simple, structured communication. It'll be feelings. So you got to really tune in, and I'm going to give you an example. You got to really tune in to what's going on. So she may be saying something, and you'll catch an edge. And what you'll do, if you're a normal man, is you'll respond to what she said. But what will work, which is what you're wanting, right, is for you to hear the need being expressed, the complaint being expressed, the judgment being expressed. And all those things shouldn't be expressed in a really good marriage, but neither of you have learned how to have a really good marriage yet. So for now, again, it goes back to the theme compensation. So she may say something to you. She may say something with a really nasty tone. She may say something that is really harsh, meant to dig. And you have to look past that. You have to not take it personally. And you have to think, wow, she needs me to hug her. And so, now look, I'm not saying this if your marriage is on the rocks and you're ready to get a divorce, but in the normal course, and you go over and you tell her, honey, everything's going to be okay. I love you. You're so beautiful. And like that, you look past her communication. You're looking at what becomes your responsibility, which you took on when you married her. Didn't you? Didn't you say, I will love you with all my heart, mind, and soul until death do we part? So this is part of that, is communicating in this respect as a listener who's not listening to the words, but listening to what's behind it for her, because we know that women have less control over their emotions than men, and it really shakes them up. And as the man, you're the protector. That is your role, established biologically. That is your role, to protect her. So that's what you do. You go in and you make sure that, and look, I say give her a hug, but it may not be the right thing in your situation. But don't be afraid to go a little bit past, and don't expect her to be receiving that hug. Again, no expectations. But then you could joke around, you could play with her. You gotta really learn who your wife is, and you gotta understand the way to reach her with love. Key word, love. You always have to incorporate love into your communication. Now, let's turn it around. You want to communicate something to your wife. You know her limitations. Everyone's got limitations. This is not a male-female thing. Every single human being has limitations in how they express themselves and in how they hear themselves, hear others. So when you express yourself, you're doing the best you can to articulate what you're feeling, what you're desiring, right? But you're limited. You're limited by your vocabulary, you're limited by your imagination, you're limited by your frustration, perhaps. Everyone has the limitations. When you're hearing, it's much worse. And I'm talking about now her. She's limited by the filters that she has, the fears that come with being alive, frankly. And so you have to really understand that. And so when you're communicating with her, again, I'm going back to expectations. Get rid of them. She may not be capable of doing what you want her to do. And again, men are very simple. Oh, I just asked you to pay these bills. Why couldn't you have paid these bills? So, let's use that as an example. Why didn't you pay these bills? You hate me. Your mother hates me. And it goes on and on and on. All you had to do in that case was to, inside your own mind, go, okay, she didn't pay the bills, but she's got all these other amazing qualities. She's beautiful. I love what she looks like. I love her hair. I love how she smells. I'm going to just pay the bills myself. So here, we're getting rid of those expectations, and we're only communicating love. And so you may have asked, did you pay the bills? And it's going to turn into, usually, if she didn't pay the bills, it's going to turn into a fight. But it shouldn't. Honey, did you pay the bills? Oh, what, do you think I have nothing to do all day but pay bills? Oh my God, you know what? I should have paid those bills. It's my fault. Don't worry about a thing. Do you want some ice cream? Let's go get some ice cream. That would be great. And what you're doing is you're learning how to communicate without conflict, based on not having expectations. So even though you stepped in it right away, you can unstep in it. Communication is an art. It's an art in every venue of our lives. It's an art when we speak to the lowest people and the highest people that we know. And it varies from venue to venue. You don't speak to a pastor or rabbi minister the same way you speak to your friend when you're playing pool at the bar. So we learn how to communicate in different venues accordingly. But for some reason, no one ever taught us how to communicate with the opposite sex. Not really. We may learn how to manipulate them. There's all kinds of articles and courses on how to get what you want. But with your wife, we're talking about building love, which means building trust, which means building friendship, which means getting rid of expectations, which means pouring into your marriage love and happiness, because that's why you got married in the first place. I've written a couple of books. Both of those would help you tremendously. But if your marriage is in really bad shape and it's slipping towards a divorce, we have basically a course at the Marriage Foundation called A Course for Men. There's also one for women, but you should just take the one for men. And it's like a self-help course in the context of marriage. There's so much to learn. When I started doing research for all of this, and you really should subscribe to this channel because there's so much you could learn about marriage, I discovered that marriage can operate according to principles that are really simple, really common sense once you learn them. And there's more to it than that. Marriage is a little bit complicated. Not impossible to learn, but there's a lot to learn. Because you have to learn about your wife, you have to learn about yourself, you have to learn about love, you have to learn about marriage. And it all starts with an expectation that is legitimate. And that is the expectation for continually increasing happiness and ever expanding love. And I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks for checking in. Again, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, learn about marriage, grab a book or take the course. Whatever works for you. We're here to serve you. God bless and take care.